Blackberry pie is one of the best pies. It's a southern summertime classic, but it can be kind of intimidating. However, my recipe with frozen blackberries is easy, delicious, and it can be made at any time of the year. If you're curious, keep watching. I'm not gonna lie to you, blackberry pie is actually harder to make than you would think because of two things. Blackberries, if you've never worked with them before, they are actually a lot more tart than you would think. And also, when blackberries are cooked, they are very runny. So in the past I've made blackberry pie and it wasn't sweet enough for me. And even though I do like my sweets, I don't like them to be overly sweet. So I was surprised by the amount of sugar I had to add to the pie for it to be sweet enough for me. And also, like I said, blackberries are very runny, so you need a lot of thickener. Even for a cobbler, I think you would need something, or else it would be very watery inside. So this is my recipe. I know blackberry pie isn't the most common pie, but it's becoming one of my favorites. If you like sweet and tart contrast like in key lime pie or lemon bars, or in Argentine dulce de membrillo, you will really like blackberry pie. Like I said, I really like the sweet and sour contrast, so it's one of my favorites. Here I have my 9-inch pie crust. I par-baked it. This is my recipe. I'll leave the link below. I par-baked it at 350 for 5 minutes and poked a few holes with that fork. That's to keep the bottom from getting soggy. I have 2 bags of blackberries. They are 2 12-ounce bags, so a little under 700 grams total, I think 680. I have 1.5 cups of white sugar, 315 grams, and I have 8 tablespoons of cornstarch, 80 grams. I know that's a lot, but if you don't want it to be soupy, you're going to need a lot. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm also going to add in 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So first for the filling, all I'm going to do is put this off to the side. Just pour in the sugar. These are defrosted. Like I said, they were frozen, but I defrosted them. 1.5 cups of sugar, 8 tablespoons of cornstarch, which seems excessive, but just trust me. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, which I'm going to be honest with you, I almost forgot. That's okay. Honestly, if you forget it, I don't think it's the end of the world. Now I'm just going to mix the filling, and once it's mixed, I'm going to put it into the pie shell. Now that the filling is mixed, I'm just going to simply pour it into the pie shell. And now that the filling is in, it's time to put on the top. I already rolled this out previously between 2 pieces of wax paper. I put it back into the refrigerator. If you are not comfortable with this and you have store-bought pie crust, you could just cut it into strips like a lattice top and put it on top, and it will be fine. But I really like a lot of crust, so this is, I think, the easiest way to put the top onto a double crusted fruit pie like a blackberry pie. So I have the crust still attached to the wax paper. I am going to center it on top of the pie as best I can. And when I rolled out the top crust, I made it as perfectly circular as possible. And then now that it's positioned where I want it, I'm just going to lift up like that. So looks like I was a little bit over the edge there, and could have been a little bit more this way here, but that's okay. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to find the edge of the pie plate I'm just going to go around and cut it like that. And then any place where I need to patch up like here, I'm just going to literally stick it on there. Just going to go around. The overhang, I'm going to trim off. You don't want it to be too snug to the edge because I'm going to do a little bit of a design around the edge. So you do want a little bit of overhang. And if you have to patch it, that's totally fine. I like food that looks nice, it looks presentable, but it doesn't have to look perfect. And there's an Argentine chef, Ariel Palacios. He says that usually there's a trade-off between what looks really good and what tastes really good. So sometimes I tend to agree. I think something that looks too polished is lacking in flavor. So here all I did is I took my ruler, found the center of the pie, and stuck a toothpick into the center to mark it. Now, it's important to cut slits into a blackberry pie or any other fruit pie because as the pie cooks, it's going to create steam inside because of all the juices and water and fruit. And what will happen is that steam that's produced from the liquid will lift the top of the pie up, and the top crust will actually cook into a dome. So when you go to serve it, you will have crust here, and then a hollow space, and then the fruit. It's still going to be good, but you're just going to have an awkward hollow space. So cut some slits so that the hot air can escape. You do not have to be as detailed with this as I am. As careful, as they say in Argentina, as prolijo as I am. But I like to use a ruler to help guide me as I cut slits into the pie. Starting an inch away and then going an inch. So I have, basically you could think of it as a compass, north, south, east, and west. And now I'm going to go halfway between the main slits, and I'm going to cut more slits. So let's see. And this I use as a guide when cutting the pie, so I know where to cut to make slices. Once again, do not feel obligated to get this detail oriented. As long as you cut some slits, I think it will be fine. But I just think it's a nice decorative top. So, and actually I could probably make those a little bit bigger. It's like I said, Blackberry Pie has a lot of juice. It's probably gonna benefit from a little more evaporation. And now all I'm doing is I'm simply just going around the edge and taking 2 fingers here on both hands and pinching the crust to not only make a design but help seal it. Help seal the top crust to the bottom crust. And then if there's any overhang, I'll just simply cut it off. One final touch. For pretty much all of my southern fruit pies, I like to take 2 tablespoons of sugar and sprinkle that on the top. A little bit of extra sweetness, a little bit of crunch. I like it. Usually I do half white, half light brown, but the blackberry pie, I think just white sugar. So this is going to go into a 350 degree oven for 50 to 55 minutes. I think I baked my blackberry pie for just over 50 minutes, so once it was done, I took it out, let it cool, and then dug in. I could see the blackberry juices oozing up through the slit, so I was excited. This blackberry pie not only looked good, it was good. This blackberry pie with frozen berries was absolutely delicious. It's a shame that blackberry pie isn't more common because it has an amazing sweet and sour contrast. I've learned that I like things that are sweet with some other flavor, like sourness or spice, so that's probably why I like not only blackberry pie, but also Argentine pasta frolla made with dulce de membrillo. Also, in terms of aesthetics, I accomplished my main goal, not to have a runny blackberry pie. However, I want to let my subscribers know that this was actually the third blackberry pie that I made in the month of June. I made one last summer and it turned out just like this one, and I was trying to recreate what I did. But little did I know that trying to recreate what I did would lead to so much quilombo. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the hardest part about blackberry pie is making sure that it's not runny, and that was a big challenge for me. In the first recipe, I only used 4 tablespoons or 40 grams of cornstarch. I thought that that was going to be enough, but when I cut into it, I realized that it was not. However, the blackberry flavor was really strong and it was nice and sweet, so in terms of flavor, it was outstanding. Determined to make a blackberry pie that was not runny, for the second pie, I used 12 tablespoons or 120 grams of cornstarch. However, that blackberry pie overflowed in the oven, but thankfully I baked it on a pizza pan. When I cut into it, it was really dry, and when I tasted it, it really didn't taste sweet at all, and it didn't taste much like blackberries. But for this third pie, I used 8 tablespoons or about 80 grams of cornstarch. I used the exact same recipe for all 3 pies, the only difference being the amount of cornstarch. In my pursuit of the best blackberry pie recipe, I came to one conclusion. Even though the third pie was definitely the best pie, shall we say, the first tasted the best. I think that the first was the best because there was less cornstarch to muddle the flavors of the blackberries and the sweetness of the sugar. Don't get me wrong, my blackberry pie recipe is delicious, but honestly, now I think that blackberries are better suited for cobblers than pies. If you have to add so much thickener that it absorbs a lot of the juice and the flavor and the sugar, it's not really worth it. What I would recommend is using the recipe for the first pie and just turning it into a cobbler. Whether you do a lattice top or a solid top, whatever you want to do, just accept the fact that it's going to be a bit runny. You could even do maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of cornstarch instead of 4. I think it does need some just because blackberries are so juicy, but like I said, it's better to just accept the fact that it's going to be runny than add so much thickener that it loses flavor. However, like I said, if you want the perfect blackberry pie recipe that is not runny yet is still very flavorful, give mine a try. Because the pie is made with frozen blackberries, you can make it at any time of the year, even for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. For more information about Argentinian food and Southern recipes, please visit my website, parnellthechef.com, and be sure to follow me on social media. Right now, I'm most active on Twitter and Instagram. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.